In the vast history of kings and rulers, where most leaders are remembered for their wars, armies, and fortresses, there exists a rare story of a king who chose a path far different from the traditional route of power through violence. This king, whose name echoes in the annals of history, was celebrated not for his battles or conquests, but for his unwavering commitment to knowledge, education, and wisdom. At a time when the world was engrossed in weapons and wars, he envisioned a kingdom built not on swords, but on books, libraries, and learning centers. This visionary ruler understood that true strength lies in the mind, not the muscle, and in the knowledge of his people, rather than the size of his army. From the very beginning of his reign, this king dedicated his efforts to fostering learning. He commissioned the construction of grand libraries, filled with manuscripts, scrolls, and books that would preserve the wisdom of ages. Scholars from distant lands were invited to his court, and he encouraged them to share their ideas, discoveries, and philosophies. Unlike other rulers, he did not hoard gold or invest in weapons, but poured resources into education, believing that the future of the kingdom depended on the intellect of its people. He believed that a well-educated society could solve problems that even the strongest armies could not, and that the mind could be a more powerful weapon than any sword or catapult. Under his reign, arts and sciences flourished. Astronomy, mathematics, medicine, and literature became the pride of his kingdom. He established academies where students could study without fear of war or oppression. Libraries became public spaces where citizens, regardless of their social status, could read, learn, and engage in intellectual discussions. This focus on knowledge sharing transformed the kingdom into a center of enlightenment, attracting thinkers, innovators, and philosophers from across the world. Interestingly, this king understood that knowledge and power need not be opposites. While other rulers sought domination, he sought understanding. He believed that wisdom could prevent conflicts, and that education could lead to peaceful coexistence. In a society that often measured strength by the number of soldiers or battles won, he redefined true leadership. To him, a kingdom's greatness was measured by the curiosity of its people, the depth of its libraries, and the creativity of its scholars, rather than the fear it inspired in others. One of his most remarkable achievements was the creation of a universal library, where knowledge from different cultures, languages, and civilizations was collected. He believed that knowledge was a unifying force, capable of bridging differences and fostering understanding among nations. His vision extended beyond the borders of his kingdom, promoting exchange of ideas and collaboration. For the first time, the world saw a ruler whose legacy would not be marked by the blood of battles, but by the illumination of minds. The impact of his reign was profound and long-lasting. Generations of scholars thrived under his guidance, and many discoveries attributed to later centuries were built upon the foundations he laid. His kingdom became a beacon of intellectual progress, inspiring rulers in distant lands to consider the value of education over warfare. Even today, historians and educators look back at his leadership as a shining example of how a king's priorities can shape the destiny of a civilization. This story is more than a historical anecdote, it is a lesson for the modern world. In an era still dominated by conflict, violence, and military might, the life of this extraordinary king reminds us that knowledge is a powerful tool that can bring lasting change. He teaches us that investing in learning, fostering curiosity, and valuing wisdom above weapons is not only noble, but transformative. His reign proves that leadership is not about imposing fear, but about empowering minds. That strength can be measured by ideas, not armies, and that a society built on education is far more resilient than one built on fear. In conclusion, the legacy of this remarkable king lives on in every library, every school, and every curious mind he inspired. He stands as a timeless reminder that the true measure of a ruler is not in the wars they fight, but in the knowledge they cultivate, the minds they enlighten, and the future they create. As we reflect on his life, we see a vision of a kingdom where wisdom reigns supreme, where education triumphs over warfare, and where the pursuit of knowledge becomes the ultimate mark of greatness. Truly, this is the story of a king who built knowledge, not weapons, a legacy that continues to inspire and guide us even today.